Hi, I'm Morgan.
And I'm Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio.
And today, it's our 100th
Oh my
episode!
gosh, can you believe it?
It's unbelievable to me that we have gotten here so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does not feel like 100 episodes, 100 weeks.
It's one of those things where it feels like it hasn't been that long, but then also feels like we've been doing this forever.
Yeah, that is
You know what I
true.
mean?
We definitely
When
are
I think
set
back,
in the...
about how long we've been. Well, first we did Disney together for so long before we started doing the podcast.
Right.
That's
true.
If you think back to the beginning, it's crazy.
Yeah, we've known each other for years now, which even that feels crazy to me.
Yeah.
But it's true. A lot has changed. We live in different houses. Your child is a completely different point in their life.
No, yeah.
Crazy. I just noticed your nails for the first time. They're beautiful. Love them. That's fun. And also, thank everyone out there for joining us for 100 episodes.
Yes, we are so excited. We love doing this.
Yeah, whether it's your first episode or your 100th, we are so excited to have you guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's been so fun so far.
Yes, it has been so fun. This is our passion, and yeah, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, it is truly such a fun point in our weeks to just lock ourselves in a room and just talk about Disney for an hour or so together. It is really fun. And we're glad that you guys have been along for the 100 episode ride of that.
Yeah.
So today we're going to do a little looking back and a little looking forward. We each wanted to discuss some of our favorite moments, episodes on the podcast so far, and then maybe look forward into what the future of the podcast might look like.
Yeah.
And it's not formal or anything. We're just kind of enjoying and celebrating and hanging out with you guys.
Right.
Kind of reveling in episode number 100.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very surreal. But yeah. Before we dive into the festivities, though, we did want to, first of all, thank you all for listening. If you're on a podcast platform like Apple Podcast or Spotify, or you have been for 100 episodes, and you feel like supporting the platform or supporting the show, it would be awesome if you could leave a review to let us know that you've enjoyed the episode, because that helps us tremendously.
Yes.
And if you would like to see our smiling faces and us toasting champagne for the 100th episode, then you can join us here on the Neverland Navigation Co. YouTube channel.
Yes. And did you have more? Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, every week there we post a visual version of the podcast. So if you want to see us over there, then we would love to have you as well. That's it.
Yeah. If you are thinking about taking a Disney vacation or a cruise of any kind, send me an email at neverlandnavigationco@gmail.com so that you can get the same deal you could get yourself or better. I'd be happy to help with my expertise, and you get free trip t-shirts from our 5-star Etsy shop.
Woo! Yeah. That is a great benefit, because anytime I feel like trip shirts are they're part of the Disney experience.
It is now, yeah. I feel like that too. And what we do is custom, so you get whatever you want. If you want different rides on the shirts, if you want your name on the shirt, if you want different characters for each person, we do whatever.
And all of that is free. The planning is free. The t-shirt is free. Nothing.
Deal monitoring, it's all free, because I get paid by your travel provider, and they don't charge you extra for that. It's crazy. It's people don't know that, though, so I'm trying to get the word out.
Well, we'll say it 100 more times if we have to. And hope that you'll join Morgan and let her plan your next trip, because she's great at it. So you definitely will not regret it. If you've never had a travel agent, you won't go back after you've had one, for sure.
Yeah, definitely makes your life easier. You don't have to deal with any of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The
calling, the being on hold.
The price fluctuation, the not sure which category of room to book. There's so many ins and outs.
Right.
Now that it is nice to have somebody on point. Speaking of on point, we've had some really on point episodes of this podcast that we and you guys have enjoyed. And I have a few that just stand out to me as some that I had a lot of fun recording.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll have some overlap.
I bet we will, because there are some episodes that when I looked back through our episodes, I was like, oh yeah, that was so fun. I
Yeah.
remember specific
Yeah.
conversations from that one. And I have to, everyone out there, I have to listen to the podcast like right away when we're done recording it most of the time to like edit the audio and insert whatever if we've got ads or anything like that, the audio upload. So I have listened back to every episode of the podcast. So I, like you, have like standout memories from listening to it as
Yeah.
well, in addition to recording it. So like
Okay.
that's fun. um I also, some of them, just the visual of it alone, also I have some good memories of, so maybe we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah, we were trying to decide what to do to celebrate our 100th episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and this seems like fun to go back and kind of go through memory lane and see what we loved.
Yeah, we haven't done this yet at all for the podcast. We've never really looked back, other than I think we recorded that topic already. Other than that, we haven't really looked through the archives. Do you want to start us off with a standout?
Sure. One of my favorites was the one about Everest.
That's on my list too. I love that episode.
Learning all of the information about the backstory of Everest was mind-blowing because you think you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems self-explanatory, and then you find out you don't know, and that like the mountain that you're on isn't even Everest.
Oh my gosh, that was truly everything that you were saying. It was Morgan who did the research for this episode, and everything that she had to say about each room of the queue and what it was. I was like, it was like looking at the attraction for the first time all over again because you realize that you've never actually understood what's going on.
Or you never paid attention to understand that it was this crazy of a backstory, like this detailed. As soon as we were done recording it, like that next week, I had to go on the ride because I was like, this is just so much information, you know?
It is a lot. The backstory is very intense.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say something that super fun about that episode and other moments from the podcast is ever since then, ever since I've recorded that episode with you, when I ride the ride, I think about it.
Yes.
Which is like beautiful,
yes.
a fun memory for sure. And I'm just looking through it now. That was episode 79 from March 18th. And we were going through some of the details, and we were talking about how it's the train's tracks were used by a tea company to transport tea and goods, but then the particular stretch of track, that particular route, was said by the locals to be haunted,
Right.
and that's how this like Yeti thing all started, I guess. And then these entrepreneurs moved in, and they started offering these tours of the Forbidden Mountain.
And disregarding the locals' warnings and stuff like that.
Which actually, in my opinion, adds a lot of like cultural texture to the story that I had no idea was there, but makes you really feel it's like ominous, you know?
Especially
it makes it scarier.
Since you learn in that episode and when I did the research that this is kind of based on like a reality. Like
Mhm.
it's based on a folklore. Joe Rohde said when he went out there, they spent a lot of time out in Nepal learning about the area and stuff like that, that the locals either believed in a Yeti or they had relatives that believed in a Yeti. Like maybe their grandparents had believed in it or whatever.
Mhm.
But as a protector,
Right.
you know?
A good guy.
Unless you did something you weren't supposed to. Like,
Right.
you know, like, yeah. So it was fascinating. I think it was absolutely fascinating. And it was so much fun to research and it was so much fun to record. So that one was probably my favorite in a knowledge way.
Yes.
You know, some of my favorites were in a we couldn't stop laughing for an hour.
Conversations. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely, like, in doing research, that was one of the most fascinating, like, the set of information was so fascinating. We could make a whole Expedition Everest podcast.
Yes.
Next season is all Expedition Everest.
Yeah.
Okay, I do love that one. The first one that I put on here, is one that we did relatively recently. You're gonna laugh. And I had to put it on here because it's so silly. We did an episode all about bathrooms.
Yes.
And this episode was so weird and different from all of our other ones because one of us was sick or something and we had to record remotely, and we like had to set up our own little filming basically stations at our homes and then edit it together later, and it was all about which bathrooms we recommended
Yeah.
in Walt Disney World.
That one was so fun.
Very strange, very different for us, but it was so fun.
I feel like I mentioned it and you were like, what? And then we were...
And then before you do it...
It like started off as a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a joke because it is so silly. But also, Morgan is a Disney mom, and one of the things that you mentioned in that episode was that you, like, in the back of your mind have all of the restrooms memorized.
I do.
Because, like, you have to if you have a kid to, like,
right.
know where, you can go if you have to go.
Right.
So, knowing that, it actually became this really interesting discussion of what makes for a good bathroom and, like, why it's important and if they have themes or not.
Right.
And it was just such a good example of how in Disney everything is, like, detailed or magical, or there's a lot of good bathrooms,
right?
Like in theme, we talked about tile designs that were in some of them.
Yes.
Some of them have themed music.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of
location wild. Yeah, whether it made sense. For example, this one was problematic, but like the Batu Star Wars bathroom with its like trough sinks.
Oh yeah, this one is problematic.
It is problematic, but I see what they were going for in theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and some of them are like they're weird. They're notable
weird.
Like that.
Yes, notably weird. That's a good way to put it.
Some for different reasons. I don't know if we discussed this, but the Journey into Imagination restroom is
maybe not
particularly strange because it's got this is, I guess, just random bathroom stuff, but it's got the original soundtrack, the original Pavilion soundtrack playing in it.
I didn't know that.
Which is different from the current one, so if you ever want to experience that.
We did a whole bathroom episode and I'm still learning stuff.
And there are payphones in front of it, so it's old.
Yeah.
It's old. That bathroom episode was really fun and interesting. And which sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy, but it was fun.
It's true. I remember laughing a lot recording it.
Yeah.
So check out that
one. Good one.
All right. What do you have next on your list?
I have Hughes.
Ooh.
That was one of my favorite. I don't think stuff like this is talked about enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You've got all your lists all over the internet of like top 10 rides, top 10 thrill rides, top 10 kid-friendly rides. But to actually talk about the queue, and I have one of my other ones on the list I'll just go ahead and jump to because these are kind of linked, is pre-shows.
Yeah.
Queues and pre-shows. We did a top 10. Mm-hmm. I think that it was so fun and such an interesting conversation that people don't generally have because you think, oh yeah, it's just a line. But it's not, because it's Disney. So it's super, super detailed.
Absolutely. This episode is called Queues That Are Worth the Wait, and it was pretty early into the show. It was episode 17. And we are super enthusiastic to be talking about queues in this episode, as we should be. But some of the ones that we talked about some historic ones, like the Stitch's Great Escape queue and how it used to be the Timekeeper queue, how it used to be the Alien Encounter queue. We also talked about how there's a lot of theme parks that have bad queues.
Oh my gosh,
like Busch Gardens or Six Flags that have a lot of like just switchbacks or just outdoor queues. And we occasionally get weird stuff like that in Walt Disney World, but for the most part the themes are so on point.
Right, and some of our favorites being like Rise of the Resistance,
Flight of Passage.
Flight of Passage.
That has an animatronic in the queue.
Oh my gosh.
Not a pre-show. That's an animatronic just for the queue.
Yeah.
pretty fancy.
Right.
I think we also touched on the Little Mermaid ride in that one and how they have not only Scuttle, but they have the cool like story of the Little Mermaid on the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah.
We also love. I'm looking over our little transcript right now. We also love the Finding Nemo queue at Epcot, which tracks because I still love that queue.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like dark.
Yes, it's dark and cool. I'm sure that's a lot of what we mentioned, but
Yeah.
going from having them take you from land to underwater in a queue is very cool.
It is. It is really cool. And I think that the way that they were using like the wave projections on it's just lights with little filters over them, but the way they were doing waves on the ceilings with the fishnets and it was cold and there was a draft in there, it really all added up to be, an immersive environment, which hey, we love AC as well. That's a cold queue.
You need it sometimes.
You do need it sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your next one?
My next one is our roller coaster episode that we did, Love on a Roller Coaster, which was a really fun one because we ended up going over not only obviously Rock and Roller Coaster, but we each ranked our our favorite roller coasters, and this was right when Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe, was coming out.
Oh, so you were saying I was really pumped about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Well, I still am.
as you should be.
I still think that's the best roller coaster anywhere of all time.
I know. I think it's so technologically impressive.
Yeah.
It can't be denied.
Yeah.
I loved the roller coaster episode specifically also because we got into a lot of talking about what makes for not only a good roller coaster, but what makes for a good Disney roller coaster. Like how much is the story involved? Because some of them are filled with more story than others. And I ranked Space Mountain last, which was like I remember generated some discussion. We also considered my number one on here was also Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah.
So I was also very impressed.
Yes.
At the time. Expedition Everest also was high up here.
Expedition Everest, I think, is my second.
Of course.
Yeah, that was a fun one. What we love about Disney roller coasters is the story, like you were saying. So I think it's what sets Disney roller coasters apart from others.
Yeah, and whether it's Big Thunder Mountain, which has its own very interesting story,
right?
Or an older attraction like that, or something new like Cosmic Rewind that it's got a story, and the story's theme is like an Epcot pavilion, which is kind of interesting and meta.
Yeah,
it's crazy to see how the stories of them evolve over time. I love that roller coaster episode. I also just love roller coasters, so I think I personally was having a great time like discussing the different, our personal rankings.
Yeah.
Always fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Another of my favorites was Grand Theft Epcot.
I should have put this on my list because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is where Jake was telling us all about it was like our true crime episode. Go, you talk about it. Jake did all the research for this.
It was, I at the time was totally transfixed by like this situation that was happening in Disney news where an animatronic had been stolen from the Wonders of Life Pavilion.
Mind blowing. A whole animatronic.
Yeah, and the Walt Disney Company had put out, they went to the Orange County Sheriff's Office and they put out they filled out a missing properties form, and eventually they were searching for the perpetrators of this crime.
Right.
And it's so interesting because one of the things that we talked about was the fact that when Imagineers, when Disney kind of left that pavilion, it became a hot spot for people to urban explore in there, and they would go and they would take pictures of the abandoned Cranium Command attraction. And one time when people went to take pictures, they had discovered that Buzzy's like clothes were going missing. People were stealing his gloves and they were stealing his glasses. And it had graduated to the point where one time somebody came in to take pictures and Buzzy was gone and there were hydraulic wires cut and hydraulic fluid all over the floor like a crime scene.
Blood. Yeah.
And I just remember how crazy it was to learn and discuss all of that, because it doesn't feel like that's something that could really happen at a Disney theme park.
The clothes part, makes sense. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because they left this abandoned.
Right.
That doesn't surprise me. The fact that somebody stole an entire animatronic, like walked it out of Epcot, that was the shocking part.
And then after that, people online trying to figure out whether or not Disney Archives had just taken it
Right.
without notifying
Yeah.
someone, and that's what the problem was, or if someone had actually managed to find a way, whether through backstage channels or whatever, to actually steal the animatronic. It was fascinating because
Yes.
it was truly a whodunit.
Yes.
It truly was. And it also involved a content creator who had been taking, that all that backstage
Yes.
content, who was, the prime suspect, and
Oh my
how
gosh.
the police raided his house.
Right.
I can't wait for this to be made into a movie. I really cannot. It sounds otherworldly.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one on here.
Okay.
That was called The Murder of Mr. Toad.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I forgot. That was so fun.
We talked all about the Save Mr. Toad's Wild Ride movement.
Yes.
It was like the first big. It was early internet.
Yeah, almost pre-internet.
Almost pre-internet. The website looks crazy.
Yeah.
But it was like one of those first big fan efforts to try to get Disney to save a ride, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and it did not work.
Oh, no.
But it was really fascinating to hear, and in that episode we went over the histories of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and It's a Small World. So that's a great twofer because they're both very interesting. It was like our Fantasyland episode, but specifically that Mr. Toad story, I just thought it was so fun to discuss because
people were so passionate. They had t-shirts. Yeah, what did the t-shirts say?
Signs. Oh, it was like now Mr. Toad is dead. It was so dramatic.
It was very dramatic.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and that website was one thing, but I think they were getting the news out ways other than internet because I mean people went there to like essentially picket.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Inside Magic Kingdom.
It was like a demonstration inside of Magic Kingdom. That kind of stuff really doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
So that's why it was so interesting to talk about, I think. Also, that's a funky old ride. Like, I remember we were also discussing the fact that you, like, kind of go to hell in the ride, but not really. But, like...
You're in a bar, and then you're like, yeah, you go to hell. It doesn't feel... I mean, I liked the ride, and as a child, I didn't think about these things. You know what I mean? So that's probably makes it fine.
Exactly.
But, yeah. In retrospect, it's like, okay, I guess I get it.
Would this ever be built today?
Right.
Absolutely not.
I don't know. It's weird how some things are okay and some things aren't, you know?
That's true. And honestly, it's even weirder for Disney because they walk a really weird line.
They walk a really weird line, yeah. Because at the time of filming, the Deadpool movie just came out. And Right. Like, it's a weird line, you know what I mean? It's hard.
Did you see that they have a walk-around Deadpool character in Disneyland Paris right now?
And in Disneyland California, I think.
That's an R-rated movie.
Yeah,
right. We are in
that's
weird
what I'm
times.
saying. It's weird. It's weird. And I looked at the IMDb parental review, and I'm like, okay, I can see how, like, you know, teenagers and maybe even preteens, this might be okay. Right. But I don't know.
It's definitely I do not envy the people at Disney who are controlling what and what is not like allowed to be represented in the park because it seems
hard.
like an impossible job.
Yes.
Someone's always going to be mad at you as well.
Right. You know? Exactly. Yeah.
Alrighty. What do you have next on yours, Morgan?
Maelstrom, the Frozen transition.
Ooh, that was fun.
This one was so fun because Maelstrom was one of my favorite rides as a kid. Jake loves Maelstrom, but Jake loves Frozen. I mean, I love Frozen too. So it's kind of like, it was so fun.
Yeah.
Because the evolution, and we both love both. So
there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
Not only like our favorite memories, but also the very interesting histories
Right.
of the ride. We talked about that reporter who fell out of the boat the first day of the ride, and we talked about how intense the ride was at the beginning.
I'm pretty sure this was the episode where we wound up talking 15 minutes about the bathrooms in Norway.
Just about to say that.
And I was telling you how when I was a little kid, the soap was pink powder, and then they had to stop doing that because of the anthrax scare. It was like the weirdest Disney podcast episode that's ever happened. We were laughing for so long.
It's crazy to think about how far down the rabbit hole of like
I know
stuff we get sometimes.
Yeah,
but it's I think that's part of the fun. But also, it is weird that they had a random standalone Scandinavia themed bathroom for like 15 years or something before. Oh man, that whole episode was truly a fever dream. It's like unbelievable. I need to go back and listen to that one because I do think it's hilarious. We do spend a lot of time on the anthrax.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a weird piece of history. You know what I mean?
Very strange. But also,
But I'm glad we don't have powdered soap anymore anyway. Yuck.
Yuck. Yeah. Soap has improved.
Soap has improved. Yeah.
Soap is and now that whole. I'm glad it's not just a bathroom over there anymore. Now we've got a whole Norway.
Yeah,
right.
Nice. And that, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that was my favorite bathroom in Epcot on our bathrooms episode because it has been redone in like a Frozen type theme. It's way in the back of the first part of Norway, not the part that has the Frozen ride. So people don't know it's back there, I think, or it's not used as much. Or you don't generally, I don't think I've ever had to stand in line back there. There are a ton of stalls. It's clean, not too crowded, recently renovated. So
yes, it is kind of hidden back there though.
Yes.
I know what you mean. It's like hard to see.
In a good way for those of us in the know.
Very much, very much.
Yeah.
There are a few things left like that, I feel, that are kind of if you know type of situations.
Yes.
So it is nice to have them.
Yeah.
All right, next up I have Disney Dining Must-Dos. This was a series we did and like quick serve, sit down. I thought this was super fun because before really focusing on recording the podcast, we for a long time were like maintaining this series of Disney dining reviews.
Yes.
And they're still very fun and they're still very fun to watch. So if you want to check out our YouTube channel, Neverland Navigation Co., you can see them. But after doing all of these dining reviews, it was like we finally got the chance to sit down and like rank what we liked and what we wanted to share and talk about and remember our fun experiences.
We're really passionate about food.
Yes, we had a lot to say about food quality, theming. There's a lot to talk about in making sure you make the right choices when you're booking dining reservations.
And I always feel bad. I always felt mad and bad when I would spend a ton of money at something subpar. So I definitely wanted to help people avoid that.
That was honestly the nicest feeling was that at the end of each category, I felt like we had done a good job of steering people away from stuff that we knew was just a total waste of money.
Yes.
So if I could record an episode like that every day, then it's nice.
Speaking of, can I jump in here with like a little updated... Okay, so...
Happy 100th episode.
Happy 100th. This is sad. Oh,
no.
I mean, it's not like heartbreaking. Just, we'll get there.
All right.
We have kind of highly recommended Be Our Guest. And I have now had 2 clients who had not great experiences there with the food.
Oh, no.
And I'm really, really sad. It sounds like their food quality has gone downhill.
Do you want more champagne?
Oh, sure.
Sorry to interrupt. 2 different people?
Yes.
Oh, no.
So it sounds like their food quality has gone downhill. And We have talked about, and I'm sure on that, I know we've talked about this probably on that episode, probably on another episode, about how disappointing it is that the only character you see is Beast and he kind of just shows up and waves and then leaves.
Right.
So that was also a complaint that I got from clients.
That, yeah.
And it's unfortunate because Magic Kingdom is hurting for good food selections. So to find out now that the food quality sounds like it's going downhill for how expensive it is, in addition to the fact that for a character meal, it hardly counts as a character meal, is sad. I will say this over and over. The ambiance in there, especially if you're a Beauty and the Beast fan, like, is breathtaking.
Yeah, next level.
Next level. Like, just to walk in there is amazing. So I don't want people to miss out on that. But I get it's really hard to pay $65 a person if the food now is mediocre and the character that you're seeing is just one of the many Beauty and the Beast characters, and he just shows up and grumpily waves and then leaves.
I know. That, honestly, it is hard to hear stuff like that about Magic Kingdom stuff, because that's you don't want bad news for Magic Kingdom dining.
I know.
They have enough bad news going on.
Right.
Know?
And the issue specifically, actually, with both of these clients, these were different clients, different time. My number one recommendation was Skipper's Canteen, just like it always is.
Yeah.
Right. But for a lot of people with small children, they'll look at that menu, get intimidated, and say, "No, I don't think that my kids are going to care about this." So
very common.
Yeah, we're here to do something that'll be good for the kids. So we're going to choose something different. And then my second recommendation is Be Our Guest. Well, that's not panning out. You know what I mean? So that is really, really sad and unfortunate because, well, all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If people feel like Skipper's Canteen doesn't have enough accessible options or interesting stuff for their children, little children, then what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like you've lost one of your go-to choices there.
Yes.
That hurts for Magic Kingdom park goers.
Right.
I
mean, the next one I would recommend is Cinderella's Royal Table, and it hurts on expensive, on the fact that it's crazy expensive. You actually have to put a down payment when you make a reservation there, which is the only in-park dining that's the case for right now.
Right.
Unfortunate. So I just wanted to update everybody that I guess I'm going to be taking that off of my dining reservation recommendation until I hear or we try and find out that the food is better, or they've added more characters I understand that Belle is already in Enchanted Tales with Belle, so they can't do Belle again, but there are other characters in that movie, and I know it will be difficult because they're not human, but I think it can be done.
No, I now that I see that there are restaurants throughout Disney products and experiences where they wheel around a cart with a character on it.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, no excuses.
Right.
Then where's Mrs. Potts tea service? Where's Lumiere on the dessert cart telling you that the gray stuff is delicious?
For real.
Let's do something.
Yes. And let's say they said, oh, well, that's just not feasible. Then I think they would need to incorporate some sort of a musical number, like they could do in the balcony, or people walking around and singing songs, you know what I mean? To make it something extra, some sort of show that made it worth $65 a person.
Yeah,
and I'm estimating. Prices change. Last time I was there, I think it was $65 a person.
Right. That would
plus tax and tip.
I definitely agree that some extra entertainment would up the value in there significantly. Mm-hmm. Because if people are complaining about the food quality, that is tough. But to go from that and then to be disappointed by the meet and greet or the entertainment experiences.
Yeah, it's not even a meet and greet in there.
It's
you know
like
what I mean?
a guest appearance.
Yes.
No cameo. You can't fail on two fronts like that, I don't think, and expect to, repeat people. So I definitely think like some dancers to do some
Yeah,
kind of number would be great, or if they wanted to incorporate live musicians playing some music from the film,
for real.
do something.
Yes.
Because it hurts my feelings to know that such a beautiful space, such a well created environment from the movie is basically like not living up to its potential.
the the awe factor when you walk in there is so amazing that I can't believe I'm surprised that people are walking out and feeling like, oh, I wasted my money. That really that's a really bad sign.
That's a bummer.
That's a bad sign on the food and the character experience because right off the bat you gain value with that ambiance.
Yeah.
So very unfortunate, and I am hopeful for the day I can recommend it again because some changes have been made. But for right now, that's a change that I feel like an amendment that needs to be made to those specific episodes that you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for filling the people in.
Yeah.
And obviously keep listening along because this is, an evolving situation. Be Our Guest has been through many changes now.
It has. Yeah.
So, who knows?
If they get enough guest feedback, maybe they'll make some changes.
Be Our Guest feedback. Yeah. All right. In slightly better news, I would like to remember a fun episode that we did.
Okay.
It was called Our New Epcot Festival. And this was the first time we tried to imagine something.
Oh, I love our armchair imagineering kind.
It's fun.
It is fun.
Those are our like more, in my opinion, there are more like chill, relaxed, like just
conversational. Yeah.
Yeah, just like having fun, sharing ideas from the top of our heads. And this was very much like that. And we proposed new festivals for Epcot, including a festival of light, which I thought was like such a perfect, beautiful idea. That was like lanterns in the nighttime and different forms of light as interactive exhibits and light shows. And I thought that all made so much sense with like the Epcot identity being what it is. And then also we talked about a World's Fair style futuristic leaning festival that was more focused on the front half of Epcot because
Right.
all of the festivals traditionally they tend to be a little bit more focused on the World Showcase. So we kind of started to wonder how we could do like a World's Fair progress themed like event in the front half of Epcot through exhibits and different kind of like entertainment and things. And it was really fun to just like basically imagine that you were being given a project to work on and decide what you would do with it.
Yes, that was super fun. Those were all super fun.
And we love Epcot. We love Epcot very dearly, and we have a lot of opinions about the like festivals themselves and how big a part of the Epcot experiences the festivals are now. So a lot of our conversation was actually what makes for a good Epcot festival. Why is your favorite Epcot festival your favorite Epcot festival? And all of that, I think, is still an exciting and interesting conversation. And I would love if in our lifetimes we could see another different take on the festival. I can't wait to see what happens next with the Epcot festivals,
Yeah, it's very interesting because the festivals it started off with food and wine, and now there are 4 festivals that span almost the whole year.
Right.
And it kind of makes me wonder if they're ever going to pop one into the summertime when they've got nothing.
Or change one of them ever. Like, does that day ever come? I don't know.
I think people would get upset.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I know if they took my favorite away, I would be upset.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
mine is the most likely to go away.
I know. I did about to say that.
I love the Festival of the Arts, but it is the newest one.
And possibly the least popular, even though I love it. I love it.
Yeah. It's very true. It definitely, I would say, is the one that draws the least outside crowd.
Right.
So if there ever were to be one that changes, I think it might be that one. Or they might just retool what it means, how they do it. Because now the festivals...
But it's weird to go now in the summer, which it's summer right now, and there's no festival going on.
Yeah.
And it's weird to walk around and there not be one going on.
Yeah, people call that Diet Epcot on the internet, and I think that's funny.
That is funny.
It does make you wonder what they might do. I feel like the light one would be good for the summertime.
I do too.
Because why not?
Why not? I wonder why they don't. It seems like a wasted opportunity at this point when they've identified that these festivals are big money makers not to have another one.
Yeah.
I could see if it being like a light festival, not light like light, but like a
Oh.
yeah, like a dampened down, damper.
Yeah.
Because I would understand them having a hard time getting, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I could understand them having a hard time getting like bands to come play in the 100-degree heat.
Oh, that does sound tough.
It sounds. I mean, when you see these bands playing in other times, they're like soaked.
Yeah.
Because they're jumping around and singing and stuff like that. I've heard that somebody that plays in a band can burn like 1,000 calories in an hour.
Wow. I believe it.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if that would be harder, although they could try a different kind of show. But anyway.
A laser light show.
There you go.
No, yeah, I definitely, the logistics, I don't know, who can say? But as far as ideas go, I think it's always fun to imagine what they could do in the summertime or in whatever.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was very fun.
Yeah. My next one is I Miss All That Stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's very early on, isn't it?
Yes. God, it might have been one of our very first ones.
Episode 2.
Episode 2, where we talked about all of the stuff we miss that, old rides, attractions, shows, I think even, that used to be a big part of Disney and has since retired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have special places in our hearts for things like the Great Movie Ride and Horizons. And we had the opportunity to talk about that then.
Yeah. Delta Dream Flight.
Delta Dream
came up,
Flight,
of course.
yes.
Morgan's perennial fave. This honestly is kind of a cornerstone of our podcast. Is like knowing the history to better appreciate the present and future of the Disney parks. And
the cornerstone of our friendship, really.
Oh, now that is very true. Like old rides is probably one of the very first things that we discussed, bonded over. And a lot of our favorite old stuff is the same because we went, in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
I will say, going back, I would love to go back and listen to that one again. First of all, because we are so new to...
We were babies.
Yeah. And, some would say we still are, because 100 is kind of low in podcasting terms. I mean, for me, it feels crazy. But I think episode 2 is such like a... It's just wild to think how much the show has changed since then.
Right.
You weren't a travel agent.
Right.
Everything is kind of different. We were filming in a different room.
Yeah.
There's just been some differences. So it's just kind of nostalgic to think to the very beginning of the podcast.
Right.
It's kind of fun. And just thinking about like microphones and lighting and we were just learning how to do everything.
Right.
The next one I have on my list is the Ideal Day series that we did. We did our Ideal Day in each
That was
park.
A long time ago, too, I feel
That was a while ago. I thought that was so fun because it was different from our ranked things because we each took a turn to just kind of describe what we would want to do in a day.
And it included food and shows and rides, so yeah.
Transportation. We went over it all, and I think that was really fun because not only did we learn that we had we would have overlapping similar ideal days in a lot of situations, but also it was a fun way to discuss things that we hadn't really started to discuss yet. Like, we talked at length about how Animal Kingdom was tough to plan correctly or to plan to get the most out of your day, but we both started our day at Boma and then migrated over to Animal Kingdom. And it was just funny to see that, and we hadn't really started talking about Boma or anything like that yet at that point. So it was fun to talk about how you could plus your Disney experience with stuff that most people do not consider as part of the Walt Disney World experience, like going to a resort to say hi to the flamingos and to, have a delicious buffet off-site.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love Velma.
I know. And truly, I love to discuss Boma anytime because
Yeah.
that is one of our fave ways to start a Disney day. Is that
Yes.
amazing buffet?
Okay, one of my favorites, which I think was a very unique topic, was rides that deserve film adaptations.
Oh, I
That
remember
was,
that.
I don't remember which one of us or how we thought of this, but it was such a fun and exciting topic because so many rides in Disney started as rides and have now become films like
Right.
Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. And now they're talking about others, like Thunder Mountain and Figment. I wonder if we even knew about those back when we did this.
No,
Probably not.
not Figment.
Yeah.
I don't know about Big Thunder.
You don't know what,
I don't know. Well, I
if
don't.
we knew about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if we knew they were doing a movie yet.
And both of those, we don't know. They could not wind up coming to fruition, but
Right.
that I think that was really fun.
That was really fun. I'm seeing we talked about a Tom Sawyer movie, like a Tom Sawyer's Island movie, a new Tower of Terror movie.
I would
Because
love a new Tower of Terror movie.
yeah, that would be super fun. Horizons as a movie, like a futuristic movie that used the song
Yes.
or the settings from Horizons would be
Yes.
really interesting. Yeah, this was a really good conversation. It was outside of our box because we don't really talk as much about the cinematic arm of the Disney company
Right.
as we do as the parks because hey, everybody listening knows this is a Walt Disney World based
Right.
kind of thing. But it was so fun to kind of think differently, to
Right.
just do something out of the ordinary.
Yes.
That was fun. I hope those movies are excellent. The Thunder Mountain movie and the Figment movie. I hope they're both great because you have such a great place to start, you know?
I'm nervous.
Yeah. If the Figment meet and greet is any
I know.
foretelling.
Figment, I think, is a hard one to do.
His personality is hard.
Yeah.
They've messed it up consistently.
Right.
Because even in redoing the ride, they've changed Figment's personality quite a bit from the original iteration, and people hated that. They hated it more the first time they changed it from Journey into Imagination to Journey into Your Imagination. When Figment was made into like a passing nuisance, and now he's still kind of a nuisance to Dr. Nigel Channing, but he sings a song. He's a little spunky, so I guess people maybe like that a little bit better. But
he's just a nuisance to him now. You know what I mean?
yes,
and that character, Dr. Channing, is. I mean, you don't really care that he's a nuisance to him
because he's a stick in the mud type of character anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Figment was like a precocious, excitable dragon friend, kind of, in the original version of things. And I hope in a film adaptation that essence of him, like kind of childlike Figment, that's how he started. So it would be cool. I would also love, they have to be incorporating the dream finder of it all into that, right?
Who knows?
Because
I would imagine so.
He pops
Isn't
out
it
of
Seth Rogen who's doing this?
It's his production company. So are you thinking he might play Dreamfinder?
Yeah, maybe.
That makes sense in my brain. He's got a beard.
He's got a beard.
Casting.
Good job.
Yeah. All right. Who went last, me or you?
Me. The rides that deserve film adaptation.
Yes, that was fun. I have one that I might have put this one on here just for the title, but it was a fun episode. The Disney Bus Sing-Along Nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
is the name of this episode.
Yeah.
And that was describing a very specific story. Was that your story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They were having us sing like we were on bus to camp or whatever, you know?
Yes. Was it Christmas carols or something? That's what it was, right?
Yes.
Okay, I had to go back into my mind for that. But what we were actually talking about was transportation. That was our we were ranking
transportation. That was the ranking transportation one?
I think so, yeah.
Ranking transportation was fun.
That was
fun. We wound up with an identical list, of course. But yeah, that was just a one-off with the bus situation, but that was crazy. I hate stuff like that. And the bus situation, if you're not packed on there like sardines is usually pretty chill. Like they turn the lights off. You've had a long day. You're in an air conditioned bus. You just
Right.
want to chill out. I'm like, leave me alone.
Yes. You're at a
I'm not a sing along kind of girl, so
well, it's also just one thing when you're, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the Frozen sing-along or
yeah,
whatever.
you chose that. Hey.
You chose that. It is a whole other thing to be on a bus full of exhausted people,
Yeah.
and children, and that it's a different vibe. Let me tell you, the environment and what you can handle is so low sometimes at the end of the day
Right.
because the heat has been beating you down. Disney can be exhausting. And in that monorail line or on the bus ride home, I feel like that's when you really most want to be
Yes.
respectful, be chill, be low disruptance, low energy, low everything, just to maintain the
Yeah.
atmosphere of we're on the tail end of this.
And the situation with these with with when somebody is forcing everybody to sing against their will, it's either awkward because you're not and nobody is, and it's just awkward and you kind of feel bad for the person,
that is awkward,
or you feel like you're being made to sing when you don't want to. Like, I also am not really a big fan of feeling like I need to stop eating because somebody halfway across the restaurant is having a birthday, because everybody's having you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
everybody's there for a reason. I don't want to stop eating 5 times to sing happy birthday to different people,
And that's fair.
Yeah. Well, it's, I guess, mean, but we
No.
eat at a lot of Disney restaurants. So.
Everyone has those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was mine, the Disney Bus sing-along nightmare. Do you have anything left on yours?
Yeah, amazing animatronics was a super fun one for me.
I love that.
Yes, we had so much fun talking about the different animatronics in different places, especially the newer ones that move so fluidly. But I think we also mentioned some of the old classics.
We did, yeah. I remember discussing the Wicked Witch of the West animatronic from the Great Movie Ride, one of my personal favorites of all time. We discussed the Honda Onaka animatronic that's in Smuggler's Run right now, which is very, very impressive. We also, of course, talked about the Yeti, which has maybe the most interesting history of animatronics at Walt Disney World, maybe apart from Buzzy being stolen.
Right.
which is in a league of its own for intrigue, for sure. But yeah, animatronics have a fascinating history in general at Walt Disney World, especially since the Walt Disney Company created, basically, the audio animatronic.
Right.
So, it was a fascinating conversation. There's always, I have not ridden Tiana's Bayou Adventure yet. I know that makes me a bad Disney fan. Sorry. But I'm one of the things I'm most excited to see is animatronics, because Disney fans, we are stoked for new, impressive animatronics. And I did see that preview special with the Lewis animatronic, and it looks like it's going to be, it looks like it is, incredible.
Yes. The animatronics in Tiana's are absolutely mind-blowingly amazing. And I think that at the end of that episode, we mentioned that we were real excited for it, even back then. So I'm very excited for you to come and see them. I have, we're just having technical difficulties getting Jake there. It'll happen.
It's true. Yeah, we had the starter of our car went out. It's been a couple days, but but I am excited to come on down to the party and experience the newest machines that they've made, because it's exciting to see what they're going to crank out next, because they're like the tops of the field. You know what I mean? We're very lucky that we get to be privy to all of that.
Yes.
The last one I have on here is You're Doing Quick Service Wrong. This was our ranking of quick serves.
That was funny.
It was early on in our dining kind of portion of this. And it was just fun to go through. We are I think we are strong defenders of quick serve as an option, because there are times when our favorite quick serves are a must do. I feel like at Magic Kingdom right now, you should go to Columbia Harbor House and have a meal just because the sit down options are not very good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I know that sucks to say, but I want people to know which ones are decent.
Right.
So that in this situation where, well, it looks like Be Our Guest is on a little bit of a downturn right now, so maybe that Skipper Canteen lunch reservation should be your Skipper Canteen dinner reservation, and for lunch you should go to Columbia Harbor House. Because I have no problem recommending Columbia Harbor House as a meal, because I think it's fine. You know, it's pretty good quality. It's a good value for sure. And if you go up to the second floor, then you can kind of like, you know, have a relaxing ambient dining experience, which is more than you get most of the time at Magic Kingdom. So, you know,
agreed.
For those reasons, I thought it was good, important to talk about.
It's so important because there's so many bad ones too.
Exactly.
Right. So, but you don't have to, it's not all bad. There are good ones, and it was an important episode. I think probably if I were to tell a client, hey, before you go, these are the 5 episodes you should listen to help plan your trip, that would be one of them, because you can waste a lot of time and money on crappy food.
Yeah. I would say the average quick serve in Walt Disney World is probably not really worth your time. You have to know the handful that are known to be providing above average quality for your buck. Go get a Ronto wrap, babe. It'll be fine, you know? But you have to know that that's an option that's, you know, available to you and will help you not feel like you're totally wasting your money on garbage food, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's an important... That might be our most important episode.
Right? Yeah, it's good information to know.
I wrote down Christmas.
As your number... Wait, did we do just a...
We didn't. No, I wrote down Christmas because there's multiple, I think, that we did that are about Christmas.
It's true.
And I love talking about Christmas. And I love Christmas at Disney. So all of the episodes we did concerning Christmas at Disney, or there was one we did just about shopping.
Yeah.
Those were all super fun.
I see we did, episode 67 was Armchair Imagineering Christmas Special, where we kind of thought about holiday overlays and if we could decorate lands for Christmas, which lands would we decorate? I think that was super fun. And of course, anytime we're having a Christmas discussion, we have to bring up the Oswald family.
Spectacle of Lights.
Dancing Lights, because that was such a massive part of MGM history, Disney's MGM Studios history, and it was Morgan's personal favorite attraction.
Yes.
And it's always really wonderful to talk about because people do comment about that one as well and say that they loved it and share their memories with it. I have seen a lot of people online share a lot of love for the Spectacle of Dancing Lights, so I love to discuss it any chance that we get because it's definitely near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. And also a really remarkable one-of-a-kind Disney World thing. That they bought a light collection, like a famous light collection, imported it to the theme park, retooled it, synchronized it.
I think it was donated.
To music. Oh, really?
Yes, because the Osborne family had all this stuff on their property, their expansive property, and their neighbors basically made them quit.
Right.
It was so
and the
many
city
lights.
Was involved, and the government was hating on them.
Right. So I think that they donated it to Disney with the understanding that they would put it back there. And there was like a sign, I want to say a plaque, but it was probably just a sign that said that where these lights came from and what happened, and then listed the names of the family. It was specifically that they were doing it for their child.
Right.
And I believe her name is Breezy, because you don't really forget that name.
Right, because the reason that he did it in the first place because it was a family tradition to make her happy, to light the house up, I think was their media story. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. I love our Christmas specials. Morgan is Christmas obsessed. Yeah. I'm also, Disney Christmas is my favorite form of Christmas.
My happy place.
It is the most pure form of Christmas to me. I know that it's, whatever, but it just is. So we love talking about our favorite Christmas stuff in the parks, our favorite Christmas Disney cartoons. We have quite a few.
Yeah.
So that's always
And
good.
it's when the parks are cooler too. So I'm sure like little things that you don't think about help like that. Like it's actually cool enough to wear a sweater.
Oh,
And all the food seems amped up because it's all the Christmas food.
it is an exciting time.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah, we're getting to the half of the year where we can like start looking forward to Christmas.
Well, yeah, we're in it. I mean, the halfway point was in June.
June, right?
So
here we are.
But
Halloween
right
is in
now
motion.
at recording, it's hot. It's
Yes,
so hot.
It's hot and Halloween.
Oh,
Halloween
yes.
like decorations are coming out.
I'm in, and
The party's gonna start any minute now.
Yeah, that makes me excited. That when you see the Halloween stuff, to me, that's like
The warning
Halloween's
shot.
pre Christmas. I love Halloween too. I love Halloween at the parks too.
Yeah,
But I'm excited for it not to feel like 120 degrees.
I know it will take a while because Florida temperature changes are like on a delay. Like we're one season late to everything.
Right.
Basically.
It might still be hot at Halloween. It might not. You never know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's Florida.
Yeah.
All right. So before we sign off, I did want to ask, when it comes to the future of the podcast, it has been very fun to go back through some of our favorite things in the past. But when it comes to the future, is there anything that you can envision in the future of our podcast?
I wrote down some very specific like plans that I know we'll get to. Do you want me to mention those?
Yeah, I would love.
First of all, you're going to be shocked. I'm excited for more Christmas content.
Ooh.
More holidays in general at Disney content, like including Halloween,
right,
and even the New Year and stuff like that. There's not as much to report on midsummer. You know what I mean?
That's
as far
true.
as like things that they're doing and new decorations and new foods and stuff like that. There are some, but
yeah, we're lucky. We do get D23 that we'll be discussing soon, and there's always cruise ship news. We're about to get some brand new Disney Cruise Line
when
news.
This comes out, we might have already discussed it.
Oh, yes.
But so I'm also excited to share my experience in October. We're going to Oogie Boogie Bash in Disneyland, my family and I, and I'm excited to do maybe a comparison between Oogie Boogie Bash and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. I think that would be a fun thing to do.
Love it.
Also, just an episode to share my Disneyland experience.
Yes, Disneyland content is one of the things I have on here as well.
Cool.
I'm very excited that you're going to Disneyland because even though I will be here in Florida, it gives us the chance to talk about Disneyland more, and I am very passionate about, despite never having been, I am so passionate about the history and the present of Disneyland that I do love when you go. So that we can like discuss and you can show me all your pictures. And it's like
I'm very excited.
It's like I'm one of you out there and I'm like, oh look what Morgan's up to right now. It's like it's very fun.
And then I'm also excited to talk about all of the new Disney Cruise information coming because they have 3 new boats coming in the next couple years. We've already got information on the Treasure, information about the Adventure is like coming out, like it's out, but we'll get more and more. And then there's a new boat coming called the Disney Destiny, which I'm super excited to report on. I'll be super excited to try all 3 of these at some point.
Does that mean we're gonna have to watch more of those virtual boat tour things?
Yeah.
That was kind of weird. I will say though, I am so excited to see what they announce for restaurants and for like themed bars and environments.
You saw the Haunted Mansion one? And that's on the Treasure. So that's the one we've got the most information on now. But like I'm really excited to see the teaser information about the Disney Destiny has a picture of Hercules on it.
Yeah.
Which like, oh my God.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like what? They never use Hercules.
You've been listening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope so.
Did you? Somebody in our comments was talking about how they think that if we did a new park, it should be like 90s, 2000.
Yeah, like a retro park.
Yeah, and I love that idea.
I do too. That's really fun. If not just like a throwback like zone area.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the idea of that.
Yeah.
We also regularly talk about how like the incorporation of those underappreciated properties we really love, like Hunchback, Hercules,
Goofy movie.
Atlantis, Goofy movie. any of that 90s, 2000s, like, just stuff that didn't quite like have the cultural permanence that things like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, or I mean, I don't know. I don't look at like box office records and stuff like that, so I don't know.
Mhm.
But that stuff, it's just not represented in the parks. I don't know.
That's true.
Is
Yeah.
it because they didn't do well?
Yeah, usually it's the ones that didn't quite break
I
box
wonder.
office
I wonder
records.
if it was a timing thing.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's about what movie they're going up against. Sometimes in
It
that,
seems to be an era.
yeah, Disney does that. I feel like right now we're actually kind of experiencing one of those like little dip moments in Disney.
Yes, but
Well,
Inside Out 2 just did
I was
phenomenally.
literally about to say Inside Out 2 might be changing the momentum of that for sure. But
Well, and then they're gonna have Moana 2. So maybe this is what, you know what I mean? This is the
yes,
key.
but Moana 2, no Lin-Manuel Miranda. It might be Moana 2 was originally going to be a cartoon, like a series, and
Okay.
they've
You're worried it won't be good because of the lack of his music?
I'm not. I have no idea because I
Mm.
don't even know who's doing the music.
Right.
So
Could be somebody great.
it might be exactly. It might be like really really good, but it is the brand of Disney is risk averse, and that's the whole point of doing a sequel. Is that people love Moana.
Right.
So when you start to tamper with what is Moana, what does Moana sound like, what is the format of the story, it can be scary. I hope it works out great because I love Moana and I would love a great Moana too. You know what I mean?
I like a sequel better than I like a live action remake. So
Preach. Period.
So I'm happy to see that this is the direction they seem to be taking
Yeah.
a turn on, and not as much of the live action. You know
What's
what I mean?
even left?
I
know Snow White is coming. That's what's
and
next.
I think that Hercules is coming.
Right, and they're making Hercules, so that's what's next. I hope those are good. I'm scared.
I'm scared.
I'm scared. I hope they're good. Okay. Was there anything else that you had on your like future vision board?
No, those were the main things.
Okay, I have a couple things here
Yeah.
and there. This is one specific thing. I think we should do. This is like totally just an example. I think we should do our favorite parks like posters or like art because Morgan is the steward of a fantastic Etsy shop that puts park posters onto T-shirts, and with their posters are a huge part of our lives.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. And they're really interesting. It's tough to do on audio, so that's why we haven't really done it yet, because I've not really thought through how to do that. But I think it would be fun. Or to do, like, maybe episodes where we talk specifically about some of the artists that Disney has had in the company. That would be super fun for my brain. Like, we talk about these legendary Imagineers all the time, but we've never spent an episode talking about who is Marty Sklar, who is Joe Rohde, who is Mary Blair, what were their careers, what did they make, what did they work on.
Yeah.
And the stories are fascinating.
Yeah.
Their resumes are fascinating. So let us know if you would be interested in something like that.
Right.
Just kind of thinking about what other avenues we could explore.
And I do want to do more ride history too.
Yeah,
on the big ones.
That is so fun.
Yeah.
That we've done kind of land by land ride histories, and I feel like we can start to go back to some of the ones that we've done. We've done some that are like, let's just do an Epcot episode today, so we've got the whole rest of Epcot to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we have so much.
We could do an episode on every ride. I mean, it would. Yeah. So we've got plenty of content options.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are just a couple. I like interviews and stuff would also be awesome. Like, if we could start to move in that direction. And we would love to hear from you guys if you have people on that you would like for us to interview, or you have, an idea of who it might be interesting to speak to. We have I know I see on some Disney podcasts all the time that they have people who worked on the rides, or like Imagineers who are retired or stuff like that. I think that would be so fun to have something like that. If you guys would be interested in that kind of content, we would love to know as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but in any event, I'm so excited for the next 100 for the future of the podcast. It's been very fun, and I would just like to say that I am like so grateful for anyone who has like listened to our show,
Me too.
commented, interacted with us, left a review, any of those things, because like reading them makes our day.
Yeah.
Reading your comments on Instagram posts and TikToks makes our day. Hearing from people who loved historical stuff, have opinions on current stuff, worked on these attractions, work in these restaurants.
Right.
It's been amazing
Yeah.
to hear all of the stories, and that's been my favorite thing to take away by far from this. Yeah.
Yeah. And a super thank you to my clients who have emailed me and then let me be their travel agent after hearing the podcast. I really appreciate it.
It touches the heart for sure, because this is our number one like passion. We love Disney. It is, you know, part of who we are. So it's really cool that people, you know, recognize that level of devotion.
Yeah.
And we're so excited to have you guys interacting with us in all of those ways. And if you would like to continue interacting with us, you can find us on social media at Neverland Navco on Instagram and TikTok. We'd love to see you guys there. Commenting along, interacting with our daily Disney goings on about.
Yeah.
We'd love to see you guys there, and we thank you for watching as well.
Yeah. Thank you. We also have the Etsy shop is Neverland Navigation. I'll keep it short. This has been a great 100 episodes. We're just really excited and really happy that you guys let us be part of your Disney experience.
Yeah, thank you so much for celebrating us, and we've got to record 100 more episodes, so we'll see you on our next adventure. Bye.
Bye.